We've been looking forward to this conversation. The Hall of Famer, he really doesn't need much of an introduction. He's done it all here in the NBA, and that is none other than George Karl joining us here on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Coach, how you doing? What's going on tonight?
Oh, another basketball game, a good one, I'm sure. So it's, I always think that final 8 and then the final 4 and the elite 8 of the NBA playoffs are the best basketball in the world. And I think this year it hasn't disappointed any of us. I think it's been really good, especially us here in Denver.
Yeah, I tell you what, they look like they might be the team, Coach, and so more on that coming up. I wanted to ask you about the Warriors situation with their general manager. Can you give our listeners and us an idea of the rigors of the job? Because what we're being told right now is Bob Myers at the top of a team that's at or near the top is considering leaving, and the rigors of the job might be the reason why.
Well, now that I'm probably retired, you never know I am, but the stress of the job is addictive, and you think you can do it, but once I've been away from it now for 7 or 8 years, and I realize how intense the coaching world is. There's so many jobs to do every day. I mean, everybody thinks it's just coaching basketball. There's travel. There's decisions to make with contracts. You got to talk to the media. You got to hang out. You got to hang out with your coaches. It's a big time job. I think general managers now are because the money is so big and it's $1 billion business, that they get called on the carpet a lot more than they probably have in the past when the budget was a multi-million-dollar business. But it's gotten to be, the business has grown immensely. The game is very popular. I think the game is in good place. But I don't think there's any question if Bob Myers is saying he needs a break. I admire that, because I think too many of us say we can do this, we can fight through this. And I think sometimes our mental health deteriorates because of it.
He's the second longest tenured GM currently, which is hard to believe, but I guess it speaks to the rapid turnover that we get in the business. Would you find it hard, though, in Bob's shoes, even with the demands of the job? Would you find it difficult to walk away from Steph, Clay, and Draymond and a core with whom you won 4 championships?
Well, I'm not sure he's walking away from that as much as he's walking away from, he knows he's probably got to rebuild and retool this team, which is, I mean, once you do it once, I think you realize, how hard it is. And I think today's game, there's more parity at the top of the mountain of NBA teams than ever before. This year I thought there were 6 or 7 teams that had a chance of winning an NBA championship. Most of the time there's only 3 or 4. And I think there are a lot of teams, got some good young players. And, I don't know what Coach Bob Myers is thinking, but, they obviously didn't have enough talent or at least enough connection this year to win a championship. And so how do you fix that? And do they have a salary cap to fix it? Does the owner want to be over the salary cap all the time? There's all types of questions. And then does Draymond want to go to L.A.? Or does Poole, does he want to be there? There's all types of questions. And I know the young kids haven't panned out as fast as they wanted them to. But I still thought they had a hell of a year, a crazy year, losing all those games on the road and still being a pretty damn good team and winning a playoff round. And Steph is not getting younger, and I think he definitely has years left on him to be. He was a great player again this year, but I think the project of maybe retooling and rebuilding in a very competitive Western Conference. This might be what he might be walking away from the stress of trying to do that.
George Karl with us here on Willard Dibs, legendary coach, former Warriors and others, of course, with us here on Willard and Dibs. Coach, I'm interested in your comments about the Warriors there. Are you feeling like this core is done winning championships, or are they still not that far off?
I don't think they're that far off, especially if they get Wiggins back to 100%. I thought he played really well in the playoffs, but they really missed him. You know, the thing that Golden State wasn't, they didn't have a good consistency to them. They would play great, and then they would play bad. They would surprise you and win a big game, and then they would lose a game on why did they lose that game. And I just think their consistency, that might be because of Wiggins being away from the team, a lot of injuries this year, but their consistency wasn't of a championship caliber team. And, you know, I think Bob Myers and Steve Kerr are probably two guys that know what they probably have to do. But the question is, can they do it?
Yeah, we're hoping yes, because we are the flagship that the Warriors can. But Warriors fall to the Lakers, and now the Lakers in trouble against your Nuggets. And I saw you were there last night. How much would it mean to you to see Denver do something never done before in the Mile High City on the hardwood?
Well, you know, Denver's had a lot of fun. You know, they've won some Super Bowls in the last decade. They won a Stanley Cup in the last couple of years. And I think Denver's turning into a hell of a sports town. And I think that you know, the final flag up the mountaintop would be that the Nuggets would go to the finals and win it. You know, right now I think they're playing as well as anyone in basketball. And I think people got to realize that they're only halfway through the journey. But I really liked how they played last night. Last night they didn't play their A game. They still figured out how to win it. And Jamal Murray was spectacular. And look, it was like, I mean, it was a great fourth quarter, and it was fun being a part of it.
Hey, George, we'll let you rock and roll. Before you run, definitely wanted to ask you this question. If you were coaching a team and one of your stars punched another star, how would you handle it?
I would try to handle it with class. I try to be honest and upfront. I think the thing that caused the problem more than anything else is the video got out. And I think that irritated not only the people in the video, but the organization that had to have a kind of a due diligence on what the hell's going on. It's a tough call. I mean, I said at that moment that the negative energy that this is going to be to bring to the basketball team all year long will never be people will never realize how much negative energy that lingers and hangs over you. And then when you start playing bad, everybody starts talking about it again. And I think that's exactly what we saw. We saw negative energy wear out maybe a team that didn't have enough talent. But because of the energy drag that they had to go through all year long, I didn't think they had enough in his tank to win a championship.
You know, George, Steve Kerr said something similar back at the time about the video getting out. What if there was no video? Then what's owed to the player that's in this case laying there on the ground?
Well, I think it's a difficult situation. I think communicating and trying to make it work and trying to rebuild trust and trying to rebuild, a connection between the players not only involved, but the players on the team. And in a lot of ways, I think Golden State showed a lot of character. But also, I think in the end, it came back to bite them. And I think moving forward from there, I think they got some tough decisions to make. And I think the summer will help them time will heal some of it, but you're also going to have to sit down and make some tough decisions if you want to move on or change.
Yep. I think that's what everyone's feeling right now. Coach, thank you so much. It's wonderful to chat with you for a little bit. Appreciate you.
Okay, guys. Enjoy the game tonight.
Okay, you too. There goes George Karl.